Welcome back. In this video, we will look at the EDATE function in Excel and learn how we can use it in combination with other Excel functions. So what is the EDATE function in Excel? It is a function that helps you calculate a date that is a certain number of months before or after a given date. This is super useful for financial planning, project management, and more. So let's first look at the syntax of the EDATE function. The syntax of the EDATE function is pretty straightforward. You have this EDATE function, then there are two arguments, start date and months. Start date is the date you want to start from, and months is the number of months before or after the start date. If you want to move the date into the past, you have to use a negative number, and if you want to move the date forwards into the future, in that case you have to use a positive number. So let us understand this with some practical examples. So here we are in Microsoft Excel and we have the start date here, 15th of October 2004. We also have this number of months in the future or past. For moving in the future, we have these positive values here, 1 and 3. And for moving in the past, we have these negative values here, -1 and -4. We also have a 0 here. So let's use the EDATE function here. For start date, we will use this value here. And for number of months, we'll use this value here. Close parenthesis, hit enter. So the result is 15th of November 2004. That means in this case we are moving 1 month in the future. From 15th October 2004 we are moving to 15th of November 2004. Before we drag this formula down and use this function for other numbers here, we have to convert this value here into an absolute reference by pressing F4 on the keyboard. Then we will select this cell and drag this formula here down. So here you have this result, 15th of September 2004. This is -1 here. That means from 15th of October 2004, we are moving 1 month into the past. Again here, when we use 3 for the number of months, we are moving 3 months into the future, from 15th of October 2004 to 15th of Jan 2005. Similarly, for -4, the result is 15th of June 2004. That means 4 months backward from 15th of October 2004. When we have a 0 value, that means the date doesn't move into the future or the past, it remains the same. Now again, let's look at a scenario where we have the manufacturing date of different products. We also have the shelf life of these products, and we want to calculate the expiry date. Again, it's quite simple. Using the EDATE function again, we will supply the manufacturing date, then the number of months or the shelf life, close parenthesis, hit enter. You have this expiry date. But notice that it is in the form of a date serial number. To convert this into an Excel date, you have to go here in the number formatting and apply the date format. You can drag this formula down, so you have these expiry date of these products. Before moving further and using the EDATE function in more advanced situations, you have to note down a few things about the start date argument. The start date argument can be a string enclosed in quotation marks, which Excel interprets as a date, or it can be a date formula, or it can be a reference to a cell containing the start date. Also, as you have noted earlier, by default the EDATE function returns a date serial number. To convert this into a date, you have to apply the date formatting. For the months argument, provide an integer specifying how many months to add to or subtract from the start date. To shift the date forward, use a positive number. The output will be a future date. To move the date backwards, supply a negative number. The result will be a past date. So up until now, you have learned that the EDATE function can be used to move into the future or the past n number of months from the present date or the date that you input. But there may arise situations when you need to go into the future or the past n number of years instead of n number of months. In that case, you can again use the EDATE function but with certain modifications. The modification is only in case of the number of months argument. What you simply have to do is that you have to input the number of years in place of number of months and multiply the number of years by 12. So you will get the number of months and the rest of the things remain the same. Let's go into Microsoft Excel and learn how we can calculate n years from the date. So here again we are in Microsoft Excel, and instead of n number of months we have n number of years in this case. So using the EDATE function again, what you simply have to do, you have to input this date. Then for the months argument, you have to supply this value here, the number of years, and multiply it by 12 because there are 12 months in a year. Close parenthesis, hit enter. So here you have 15th of October 2005 as a result. Now again, to drag this formula down, you have to convert this reference into an absolute reference by pressing F4 on the keyboard. Then you can safely drag this formula down. So here you have n number of years in the future or the past using the EDATE function. Now in the last part of this video, we'll look at a bit advanced situation. We'll be using the EDATE function within the if function. In this case here, we have these names of client, the subscription type, subscription start date, and we have to calculate the subscription expiry date. You will notice here that the subscription type is either annual or quarterly. To calculate the subscription expiry date, we have to use the if function. Our logical test will be this value here, that is subscription type, cell B5, is if it is equal to annual. In that case, we'll be using the EDATE function. Start date will be subscription start date, that is cell C5 here. Number of months will be 12 because there are 12 months in a year. Close the EDATE function. Then again, if the subscription type is quarterly in double quotes, then we will be again using the EDATE function. Start date will be this value here, C5. Number of months will be 3 because there are 3 months in a quarter, and the subscription will expire after 3 months. Close the EDATE function. Then value if false, it will be a blank text string here. Close this if function here. Close the earlier if function also. Press enter on the keyboard. Then we will drag this formula down and apply a date format. So here you have subscription expiry date. So that was all about the EDATE function in Microsoft Excel. I hope this video was helpful. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. Keep supporting, subscribe the channel. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.